Imagine taking like a giant black marker to a world map and just, crossing out nearly 200 countries until only four are left.
Just scribbling them all out. Yeah.
Right. Like no United Kingdom,
Yeah.
no Japan. You can just go ahead and cross out the entire European Union while you're at it too.
That is a pretty aggressive way to look at the globe.
It really is. But according to Maxim Oreshkin, who is this key architect of Russian geopolitical strategy, those crossed out countries they aren't actually independent.
Right. They're just highly paid vassals in his eyes.
Exactly. I mean, in his view, out of the entire globe, the only truly sovereign nations left on Earth are India, Russia, the United States, and China.
It's just an incredibly stark worldview. I mean, it shrinks the whole world stage down to this four-player game.
Just four players.
Yeah, and everyone else is just cast as a supporting character,
Yeah.
like a subsidiary or just a pawn on the board.
It's a super jarring claim, honestly. And it's the origin of that bold statement that we are plunging into for today's deep dive.
Yeah, we got a lot to unpack here.
For sure. So Oreshkin, who is very, very closely tied to Vladimir Putin, laid out this entire worldview recently. He was representing Russia at an AI summit over in India.
Right.
And he described true sovereignty as this, ultimate, highly exclusive club. So our mission for this deep dive is to really unpack the architecture of that specific framework.
Which is pretty complex when you get into it.
Yeah, we are going to dissect his three non-negotiable levels of independence, and we'll explore the incredibly unsettling trade-off he presents between, maintaining national autonomy and simply living a comfortable life.
And just to be completely clear right up front for everyone listening, our goal today isn't to cheerlead for Oreshkin's view, right?
Right, absolutely not.
Yeah, or to validate his, geopolitical scorecard.
Right.
We are simply switching the maps filter from what we usually see like global alliances over to raw unilateral leverage.
Just to see how this specific faction of global leadership actually thinks.
Exactly. Because to navigate global politics, you have to dissect the underlying logic of the major players, no matter how uncomfortable or cynical that logic might be to hear.
We really have to understand the operating system they are running on, so let's get into the mechanics of it. To understand how you take a marker and cross out 190 plus countries from the sovereign list, we first have to redefine the word sovereignty itself.
Yeah, because his definition is definitely not standard.
Right. Because in Oreshkin's operating system, having a recognizable flag or a seat at the UN or even heavily guarded borders, that means absolutely nothing.
Not a single thing. I mean, in this framework, the standard dictionary definition of sovereignty is tossed completely out the window.
Completely.
Here, sovereignty means the absolute unquestioned ability to rule yourself, period. It means your foreign policy, your military strategy, and your, internal economic trajectory are never dictated by another capital.
Never held hostage by anyone else.
Right. It's total, unapologetic autonomy. And this framework divides that autonomy into three foundational pillars.
Okay, lay them out for me.
So you've got state existence, social identity, and socioeconomic independence. And the catch is, if you fail even one of these, your name gets crossed off the map.
Oh, wow. Okay, let's pull apart that first pillar then. State existence. On the surface, that sounds like a super low bar. Do you have a functioning government? Yes or no?
You'd think so, but the metric they're actually using is far more brutal than that.
How so?
They're asking about raw political reality, like who is actually pulling the levers behind the curtain.
Ah, okay. Not just who is sitting in the big chair.
Exactly. And the framework provides very specific examples of nations that failed this initial test. Oreshkin specifically points fingers at Venezuela, for example.
Oh, really? What's his argument there?
Well, he argues that despite its posturing, its government and political trajectory are fundamentally managed and dictated by the United States.
Okay, I see.
He also highlights Pakistan, explicitly categorizing it as a controlled country. The argument there is that true political sovereignty doesn't exist because external forces like financial institutions or foreign governments are the ones really greenlighting Pakistan's major decisions.
So if your leadership essentially has to pick up the phone and ask permission from Washington or Beijing or Moscow before making a major move, you don't even make it past step one.
Exactly. You are basically a puppet state in their eyes.
Wow. But okay, let's assume a country does pass that test. You run your own show politically. The second pillar is where the psychology of this framework gets really fascinating to me.
The social pillar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's not just about politics anymore. It's about maintaining a unique value-based cultural identity.
What is vital to understand here is that this isn't about, like, preserving ancient traditions in a museum,
Right.
right? Or closing your borders to tourists.
Right. It's not isolationism.
No, they are talking about aggressive cultural resilience in the face of massive, sweeping globalization.
The best way I can visualize this is like a cultural immune system.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, like you aren't living in a sterile bubble. You are actively interacting with the world, taking in outside information, but your core identity actively fights off being overwritten or replaced.
That's a perfect analogy. And Oreshkin uses India as the prime example of a nation successfully doing this.
Okay, break that down for us.
Well, look at everyday life in India. They stream American movies, right? They consume Japanese anime, they use foreign software, they are heavily exposed to the outside world.
Totally.
But India's internal cultural engine is so incredibly dense and powerful that the foreign influence just gets absorbed without erasing the host.
Like it just blends in without taking over.
Right. They fiercely maintain and prioritize their own distinct cinema, their own music industries, their own cuisine, and their own domestic tech ecosystem.
I mean, Bollywood is huge. It doesn't just survive alongside Hollywood, it dominates its own market.
Exactly. And crucially, India doesn't just act as a consumer. They export that cultural identity outward. They project their values and their media globally.
So it's a two-way street.
Yeah. The framework argues that if a nation simply absorbs the dominant global culture, like
Yeah.
if your kids only listen to American pop, watch American movies, use American social media, and lose their own unique rhythm, your country has lost its social sovereignty.
You've basically been culturally colonized.
That's exactly how they see it.
But, even if you have a bulletproof cultural identity, I feel like it collapses the minute a foreign power decides to freeze your bank accounts or shut down your supply chains.
Oh, absolutely. Which is why Oreshkin argues that social resilience